our big conversation for this morning as well. And our special guest in studio is the Member of Parliament for Tema West in the Greater Accra region on the ticket of the NDC. Now, he is currently the Vice Chairperson of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee in Parliament. He's a member of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. I must say that the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee is one of my favorite committees in Parliament. I have to be very, very honest because of the work that you do. And the name in itself, it's a lengthy name. So the Vice Chair is here with me in studio. Now, he made history in 2024, becoming the first ever NDC Member of Parliament for Tema West after nearly 3 decades of NPP domination. He's a lawyer by profession. He ran on promises as well to fix neglected road infrastructure, particularly Ajay Kojo, and reduce youth unemployment in an area ranked by major companies and bring accountability amongst many others to the good people of Tema West. If I were emceeing an event, I would say, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Legal Counsel James Enu. But I'm in the studio this morning, and so I'll say good morning to you, Honorable, and thank you very much for joining us in studio this morning.
Let me say good morning to you, and thank you also for having me. And let me say a very good morning to all your listeners and the good people of Tema West who have done me the honor to represent them as their Member of Parliament.
How is Tema West? I mean, after what was a remarkable feat in the 2024 elections, the NDC almost sweeping the Greater Accra region. I think it was just 3 constituencies the NPP has in the Greater Accra region, and you were part of the green wave, which was witnessed there. What did the magic? How did you work things after a near 3-decade domination by the NPP?
Thank you very much once again. And like you rightly said, Tema West has always been blue since the inception of the 1992 Constitution. And there were some key, even NDC candidates who contested in the Tema West constituency. One of the remarkable people you can make reference to is Honorable Fosuan Pofu. He contested, I think, in 2012, and then Dr. Tufo. I came 2016, Dr. Tufo came 2020, came back in 2024.
And on your return, you worked the magic.
Exactly. And I think that is out of hard work, dedication, commitment, and the unity that we built together going into the elections, together with my constituency chairman and the constituency executives and all the grassroots of the party. We worked together as a team, and that is what made the magic. Tema West, is largely metropolitan, and it has a very youthful population. Indeed, the youth constitute about 70% of the total population in Tema West. It has a voter population, and this is not the total population, just the voter population of close to about 150,000 people per the records going into the last election. And it's a constituency that is growing at a very fast rate, and indeed the population growth is outpacing infrastructure development in Tema West. But a lot is also being done to ensure that in the critical areas that have challenges in terms of infrastructure and all that, we are trying to push very hard to fix some of these challenges.
It's important that you mention infrastructure, and I'll come to you on that in terms of the constituency as well. But just by way of a bit more in terms of details, the Honourable James Enu is my guest in studio. He's a Member of Parliament for Tema West. He's the Vice Chair of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament as well. Send messages, questions, particularly the good people of Tema who will be doing the listening this morning as well. You can send a message to us here on WhatsApp on 053 220 0927. 053 220 0927. Alternatively, as well, we're streaming on Facebook, our handle 3fm927. You can send a message on that stream. We're also live on Kesme 107.1 FM. So roughly 18 months, right, in where do you stand on the road and all of that? Because that was one of the major things which you promised to do for the people, which brought you in as well.
Thank you very much. And let me take you a step back. Like rightly said, this is a constituency that we have never won before. And for the first time, we won this seat. We won with a margin of almost 22,000 difference, and that is quite huge. Indeed, I pulled about 49,000 in SS. The MPP candidate pulled around 20 something. Yeah, so if you look at the difference, it was about 22,000, close to 22,000 votes. And the expectations are quite high. One, because it's the first time. Two, because of the large difference that the people showed in support of my bid as the MP. So it's quite a high demand on me as far as the constituency is concerned. Now let's come to the roads. Tema West has a lot of road infrastructure deficit, especially from areas like Ajekojo. Ajekojo, Klagon, Lashibi are areas that have not seen much development. The story has always been told that because it's an MPP-dominated constituency and those areas are NDC-dominated, usually when MPP is in power, they don't pay attention to these areas because they feel that these are NDC strongholds, and therefore much development doesn't go there. So Jekojo, Klagon, Lashibi are areas that have huge road infrastructure deficit. Yeah, and since we assumed power, a lot of work has been done. First of all, if you come to the estate junction, Sakumono Estate Junction, we've asphalted the road from the junction up to the Committee 18 KFC on the Sprinters Road.
I know the place very well. Sakumono
So
18.
that has been done. As I speak to you now, that stretch from heading towards Lashibi on the other side is also being worked on. There is a road called the Gas Filling Station Road behind the Snake Flats at Sakumono that has also been fixed. The Gasem Flats in Sakumono, all their inner roads have been fixed. If you go to a place like Bachona, around the Tespo Market Enclave,
Tespo.
Yes, a lot of asphalt too has been done in those areas. A lot of work is still ongoing. As I speak to you now, through severe lobbying and all that, some new roads have been taken over by contractors. For instance, you can talk about the PV Obin roundabout. PV Obin roundabout is a roundabout that connects Committee 2, Committee 3, and Committee 5. So there is a stretch from the roundabout to Chrismon Hotel. That is a very bad road, and it's a flood-prone area. So anytime it rains, all that place gets flooded. As I speak to you now, contractor is on site. They are doing their drains, and then they will do their roads. So work is ongoing on PV Obey roundabout stretch Committee 5 to Chrismon Hotel. And if you go there today, you see the contractors on site. And this is something that we pushed and lobbied for. And let me say, I'm very grateful to the road minister who has a listening ear. Apart from this, Ajekojo, like I said, is one major area that has deficits in terms of road. There is also a contractor working from there. The contractor is actually coming from Santor, and he'll come down to the underbridge through the Ajekojo main road into the underbridge. The underbridge is a problem area. The underbridge that connects Klagon and Ajekojo is a problem area. When it rains, the whole place is very much flooded. There is vehicular traffic. Vehicles cannot go in or come out. And that bridge is also a single lane, so you can appreciate the place is flooded. There is a single lane. One lane have to go, the other must stop after that before another lane comes in. So there's always vehicular traffic, and when it rains, it is terrible because of the flooding nature of the area. And I'm happy to say that the Santor Road, like I said, contractor is on site working. He'll come straight into the underbridge. The underbridge indeed will be collapsed as part of the motorway expansion project. There's going to be a flyover instead of the underbridge, to make sure that that problem at the underbridge, which connects Ajay-Kojo and Klagon, will be resolved. I also know that Ajay-Kojo inner roads have a lot of challenges. Recently, that the rains came, some areas were cut off and all that.
Yeah.
We have made some interventions. As I speak to you now, there are laterite gravels that we are trying to fill as an interim measure, those areas that are, have challenge when it rains. And we believe that in the interim, it will make the roads more trouble for the people to be a bit happy. But we are also lobbying seriously to get some of the internal roads fixed. One major challenge has also to do with this bridge on the Lashibi stretch. It's a huge bridge. As I speak to you now, the contractor vacated site because the indication was that he raised some certificates which were not paid. So I personally followed up. Indeed, over the weekend, I met with the Minister for Roads and we had a conversation, and he has assured me that some payments have been even made, and very soon the contractor will come back to site and fix that bridge which is at the Lashibi stretch joining to Klagon. And indeed, that area too is a flood-prone area, so the recent rains also cut the road
number
off.
of people
Yes.
and the roads.
Yes, but I'm also happy to say that with the support of the MCA and myself, we fixed that portion of the road to the extent that now, if it rains, that section of the road will not be cut off. I'm also happy to say that Lashibi has also huge infrastructure deficit in terms of road. But as I speak to you now, through serious lobbying with the assemblyman, myself, and even the MC, we have gotten the contractors to move on site. There is a very strategic road, which is called Omanyaba Road at Lashibi. It's a huge road that spans from the Shalom Sport area that joins the Spintex Road. So the contractor has moved on site and he has started working. It's a strategic road that will open Lashibi up, and I'm very happy that that contract has been awarded. As I speak to you now, to around the Shalom Sport area, there's a runabout, which runabout also connects through the abattoir to the motorway. That road too has been awarded for contract. Contractor will be moving to site very soon, and that road will also be fixed. There are a lot of other roads that we are pushing to ensure that we are able to get more support in terms of roads. And I want to take the opportunity also to thank the road minister who has a listening here and who has a soft word for Tema West. And indeed, we also want to use the opportunity to ask for more. Oliver Twist ask for more, you know. But of course, a lot of other constituencies also need road infrastructure. So it's quite a challenge, but I think that the minister is doing quite well. Apart from issues of roads, one major problem that we also face has to do with employment issues. You know,
I was going to come to that because it does suggest there is quite a number of developments in terms of roads, right, within your constituency. There's a message that's come through from Kwesi Poku from Community 16. He says that I should tell the Honorable that the roads in Community 16 are bad. No single road has been touched. And so there's a two-part message. And so are those as well coming to your attention? I want us to focus on the constituency first because of the historic nature with which the elections was won and what is being done based on the promises with which you won. Then I'll move on to more nationalistic conversations. But on Community 16, on that front, before we come to jobs, because the second part is the jobs he mentioned that you are the board chair of the Gaming Commission, and so what are you doing in relation to that to get them jobs? But on roads, and by the way, you can send us a bit more in terms of messages. 053-220-0927, 053-220-0927. But speak to us on Community 16 and
Community
then
16. I think that I did indicate Community 16 is within Lashibi.
All right.
And I did indicate that Lashibi has serious deficits in terms of roads. And I think that it's a very important point that he has made. But I'm also happy to say that the road that has been awarded, road contract that has been awarded, which I indicated to be Omanyaba Road. Omanyaba Road also spans across Committee 16. So at least Committee 16 will have a benefit of that road, because it cuts across Committee 16 to 17 and all that. Yeah, so definitely 16 will benefit from the Omanyaba Road. And like I said, the contractor, as I speak to you, is on site. We did a community engagement, had a meeting with the people, introduced the contractor to the people.
To the people as well.
He's coming to start work.
Right. On the subject of jobs, right? Kwesi, you were going there, but I just paused you on the question about Community 16. But Kwesi also comes in on the subject matter of jobs. Tema is a place where all of the industries are. The people are asking, how are you connecting us to the jobs? Because it was one of the many things you mentioned. And then I'll come to you on the flooding situation there and how it is now.
Okay. Thank you very much. So the issue of jobs is a major concern. You know, Tema is the #1 industrial city that was built by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our first president. And because it's an industrial city, it has attracted a lot of youthful population. And a lot of people who are looking for jobs will definitely move towards Tema, because they believe that it's an area that you can easily get jobs. So the issue of job is a major concern, so long as a lot of the population are in the youth. But what I have tried to do is that it's not easy, but what I've tried to do is that we have set up a job center. In this job center, we are doing a number of things. The job center, one, will look for job opportunities and also try and connect people to these job opportunities. So as I speak to you now, we have a platform that we have collated a lot of people who are looking for jobs. So everybody who wants a job, they come to us. If they have a CV, they provide their CV. If they are artisans, electrician, welder, whatever, they provide the necessary information to us. We have built a database. And therefore, I have a team that goes around, not only for in respect of public institutions, but private companies that are even located in Tema West. They go around, look for job opportunities, and we are able to do placement for the people. Now, what we also do is that even those that have to go through interviews and all that, we prepare them and guide them to make sure that they go through the interview.
Where this job center does all of this?
Yes, the job center does all of it. So the job center is located at Committee 3, PV Roundabout. Anybody who is looking for a job, you can come with your CV, whatever information you have. And because sometimes the challenge we face is that sometimes there are opportunities that come, and then we don't have the people who are qualified for the opportunities.
Opportunities from where? From within the enclave and the industries?
Within the enclave, especially opportunities for technical people, you know, engineers and those kind of areas. Opportunities come, and sometimes we struggle to get people to fit into those opportunities. But the truth of the matter is that the demands that are coming in respect of jobs is quite huge.
Right.
But of course, we don't have enough opportunities to satisfy everybody. But I can assure you that we are doing our best. Since we assumed office, the job center has offered a lot of job opportunities. You did mention gaming commission, which I happen to be the board chair. And as I speak to you now, there are a number of people from my constituency that have pushed, that are working at gaming commission. Gapoha, we've put people there. Tema Oil Refinery, we've put people there. Cocoa Board, we have put people there. A lot of institutions, including private institutions, that we have been able to do placements. You know, the job center also undertakes capacity building. We're able to partner with a private ICT firm to train people in ICT and all that. So much is being done when it comes to the job. But like I said, the demand is higher than the supply. So as much as possible, we are doing our best. And I want to take the opportunity to assure the good people of Tema, who CV we have received for some time now, that they should not give up. We are working hard at it. We are hoping that as we get along, more opportunities will come. Some people have gotten the opportunity already, and they are even working. And gradually, we are hoping that we'll be able to absorb more people to get job opportunities for them to work.
In your constituency, there was floods. In Klagon, for instance, my colleague George Queenan was there. The Assembly has come up for a lot of flack that they've allowed persons to build in waterways, they've allowed persons to build without check, and they've allowed persons to build without permit, and in some instances granting them permits as well to build. The floods came and we all saw the devastating nature. You've been to the place, I'm sure you've visited a number of the places where the floods affected them. What is the course of action being taken that this does not repeat itself? Buildings, we're told, have to go. Are you working with the Assembly to remove these buildings on waterways? What is a constructive plan to deal with the situation in your constituency?
Yeah, thank you once again. Of course, the recent flooding that consumed Ghana hit Tema West very, very hard. I think Tema West was flagged as one of the most hit areas.
Worst hit, actually.
Yeah, worst hit areas in the country. Because, for one, if you come to Community 5, Railway Ward suffered a lot of flooding. If you come to Jatabu also equally suffered so much flooding. Sakumono, both Sakumono village and the Sakumono estates all suffered flooding, especially those who live along the Ramsar stretch. Klagon was seriously hit. Ajekojo was also hit. Bachona and Lashibi all suffered serious flooding challenges. And my brother, it will interest you to know that this flooding situation has been occasioned by the activity of our own people. And like you rightly said, sometimes it has to do with building even without permits. And you appreciate that since we assumed office, we have been in power for, let's say, 1.5 years now. You'll be surprised that there are building permits that have been issued in the recent past before we took office, or at places that they were not supposed to be issued. Apart from that, there are a lot of areas that people do not have permit, but they are building. I think the record shows that a lot of properties, especially within the Greater Accra region, have no building permits. So these are some of the things that have occasioned. Of course, our own human activity also in terms of indiscriminate disposal of refuse has also occasioned this flooding situation that we have. If you come to a place like the Tema Main, people have built on sewer lines, people have built on drains, people have built everywhere. And I think that it's important for us to crack the whip. The unfortunate thing is that sometimes when you want to crack the whip, it comes with challenges, because people will try to intervene from all courtesies to make sure that it doesn't happen. And that is the challenge that we have. Sometimes the challenge is that if you want to demolish, you have to go through due process. A lot of the time, sometimes institutions engage in demolition without following due process. Because if you want to cause demolition, either you need an order from the Assembly or you need a court order to embark on a demolition exercise. But sometimes due process is not followed, notices are not given, and when these things happen, people are displaced, and at the end of the day, we, the leaders of the constituency, are the ones that stand to suffer. So one, I believe that the whip must be cracked in terms of those who have built on sewer lines, who have built on waterways, those who have put unauthorized structures that has occasioned all this flooding.
And this is Lashibi,
doing so,
some parts of Lashibi when it rained.
Yes, so this is Lashibi heading towards Klagon. And I can say that as I speak to you now, this section of the road has been fixed. Like I said, when it rains, the Lashibi stretch is cut off from Klagon.
Yeah.
So the road is not even more trouble. But since the last time we have intervened, myself with the MC, we have fixed that stretch. So when it rains, indeed, this place will no longer be flooded. That exercise has been done. And I'm happy to say that a lot of institutions came on board to help us to fix this.
Obviously, because of the military
engineers came, NADMO also came, and it was a huge support. And I'm happy to say that this problem, as I speak to you now, has been fixed.
There's a question and a concern which is coming from a constituent. It says that they want to know if you are doing anything about the linking road from Klagon to Community 12, and that there is a new development going on that stretch, which is a wetland. Are you aware, and what is being done about it? That they are suggesting it's a wetland being developed, and that could have potential to result in floods as well, if nothing is done about it.
Okay, thank you very much. I have an idea the area he's talking about. Actually, Committee 12 is not within Tema West. But I think there is a connection bridge that connects Committee 12 to Klagon. And indeed, that bridge is a very strategic one because it gives easy access if you even want to join the motorway and all that. I know when you cross the bridge, there's a wetland around that area here.
But I've not. They are developing the area. That's at least what Kwabna from Ajay Kujo is telling us.
Okay.
This morning.
Frank, I've not used that stretch in a while because I don't usually go
through. I mean, that's fair.
Because So once my attention has been drawn, I want to assure him that I'll take steps and to go and see myself and notify the appropriate authorities. I'll have to bring the assembly on board if that is actually the situation. Because this is and one of the major problems that we have encountered, which has occasioned this flooding, is also the development of Ramsar sites. You know, Tema, by the grace of God,
you have a lot of these wetlands.
Exactly.
And people
by the grace of God has granted us the wetlands to be able to serve as a reservoir. You know, Tema is a bit on the low side. So when it rains, all the water from the eastern region, Ebri and all that, they come to Tema. And God, in his wisdom, provided us with this Ramsar site to be able to serve as a reservoir to accommodate all this water so that it doesn't flood our communities. But unfortunately, there's been a lot of illegal developments in the Ramsar site, which has reduced the capacity of the Ramsar.
I mean, you've been there for just 18 months,
right?
And so, really, directly, when fingers are being pointed, they cannot be pointed at you. But the concern is, one of such has been brought to our attention. What is happening to the others, persons who are seeking to develop these wetlands, which are supposed to serve as reservoirs and help prevent the flooding in the areas?
Okay, so I think it's a matter that we must take seriously. Indeed, any time that I have come across any such development, I trigger the necessary processes through the assembly, because indeed the Ramsar site is supposed to be under the forestry, and therefore even the assembly does not have the authority to grant permit for any development within the Ramsar site. So even when you obtain a building permit from the assembly within a Ramsar site, that building permit is null and void, because the assembly, first of all, does not have the capacity to give you a permit within a Ramsar site, which falls directly under the supervision of the Forestry Commission. And there are a number of occasions that we have identified some of these developments, and we have drawn the attention of the Forestry Commission and even the Assembly to also use their task force to crack down on these people. So I also urge the community members that anytime, you know, they see such developments like the one who just put the information across, they should inform us, and we'll take the appropriate steps to ensure that we crack down on these illegal developments within the Ramsar sites.
Right. James Enu is my guest in studio. He's a member of Parliament for Tema West. He's a vice chair of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament. He is the board chair of the Gaming Commission as well. Also sits on the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament. You've done a lot of work since you returned to the 9th, or since you entered the 9th Parliament, because you're a first-timer, and serving as the vice of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, a number of legislation has come before you for consideration. Key amongst them is the Public Tribunals Bill, which you passed last week, Thursday. Because of how late it was, you couldn't join us on Friday, which was originally scheduled. Your colleagues on the other side, they've criticized you greatly for the manner in which you went around it, and for the fact that you're bringing something which has been put to bed for a very long time back into the justice delivery system. What were the considerations you made on the committee, amongst others, into returning a report to the plenary and seeing a vote passed to have this approved by Parliament?
Thank you. I think this is a very sensitive matter, and I'm happy that you have raised it. Indeed, I didn't know it's going to be part of our conversation, but it is good that you have raised it. You know, per our procedure, a bill has to go through first reading, after first reading, it will be referred to the appropriate committee.
Absolutely.
In this case, in this particular case regarding the Tribunal Bill, it was referred to the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee. When it's referred to the committee in charge, we do our deliberations, we sit on it, do our deliberations, we do our public engagement with key stakeholders as far as the bill is concerned. After that exercise, we produce a report to the House. Now, when the report is presented to the House will debate on it, and a decision is taken on it whether we are adopting the report or we are rejecting it. So from there, if the report is adopted, we move to second reading. From second reading, we go into consideration stage where we take it clause by clause.
Absolutely.
And analyze all the issues and all that. And then it will go through third reading and it is passed. This is the process that has to go through. So you appreciate that before a bill is passed, it goes through a number of stages. Yeah. And indeed, when it came to our committee, Constitutional and Legal Affairs, it's a committee that is made up of both the majority and the minority. So when it came to our committee, we considered the bill, looked at the nitty-gritties of it, engaged key stakeholders, engaged the public and all that before we produced our report. Now, when we produce a report, the report is debated, like I said, in the main house. The minority participated at the committee level, their members were there, they participated. In the main house debate, they were there, they were given the opportunity, they raised their arguments, whatever. The report was adopted. Now, and then we went through, in consideration stage, they decided to boycott. But of course, parliamentary work must still proceed. And then went on.
In the consideration, they raised a number of concerns.
Yeah.
There was a lot of mention as to clause 4.
Yes.
What was the clause 4 about? And what was the gripe that resulted in one of the decisions for them walking out?
Good, thank you. So clause 4 is the gravamen of the bill. Clause 4 is like the foundation of the bill. And they were saying that we should delete clause 4. But if you delete the clause 4, it means that the bill would have collapsed. And this is the reason. Clause 4 contains provisions in terms of where the Tribunal Bill is taking its authority from. And if you look at our law, it is very clear. We are running a constitutional dispensation. And therefore, if you look at the provisions of our constitution, which is supposed to be the fundamental law of the land, if you look at particularly Article 142 and Article 143, Article 142 creates the tribunal. 143 talks about the jurisdiction of the tribunal.
Right.
If you come to Article 126, Article 125 talks about the judiciary.
And then 126 mentions specifically the tribunals as being part of the superior courts.
Exactly. It looks like you have read enough. So if you look at all these provisions, the combined effect of these provisions are that we must have a tribunal system, because the law talks about a jury system which we are running, it talks about assessor system which we are running, also talks about tribunal system which was made redundant. So indeed there is a lacuna in our law, and we all know that the Constitution is the fundamental law of the land. It's a law that we have all agreed that we are going to work with. So long as these provisions remain in our Constitution, if we fail to execute it, what it means is that we are undermining our own constitution, or we are disrespecting the provisions of our own constitution. And that is very wrong, you understand? So these are constitutional provisions, mandatory constitutional provisions, constitutional bona fides that we don't have a choice about, that we must go ahead to make sure that we enact such laws so that the tribunals can work. And let me take you a step further. We have said that the tribunal system is very, very necessary, because the tribunal system provides a number of things that the regular courts do not provide. Number one major thing has to do with the participation of the citizenry when it comes to the tribunal trials. You know, the tribunal sits with the chairman and two other panel. Now, these two other panel are supposed to be ordinary people in the society who will work together with a chairman who is supposed to be a lawyer with the same qualification as a high court judge. So these two people, together with the chairman, who is a lawyer, sit on the trial and adjudicate cases. So we are seeing citizenship participation in the adjudication process, which is key, because one of the things that we have suffered as a country has to do with the fact that a lot of Ghanaians do not have confidence in the court system. They don't have trust in the court system. That is a matter of fact. So getting to citizens to participate in the process, build confidence, build trust for the adjudication processes. And I think that is one thing that the regular courts cannot offer us. Apart from that, if you look at the bill gives us the opportunity to do day-by-day trial. My brother, we know that one of our major problems with our court system is the delays, the long cases. Sometimes cases take as long as 10 years, 15 years. Long cases, some of them 12 years and all that. The adjudication process is quite slow. There's so much delay in our system. As a result of this delay, there is huge backlog. Indeed, the record shows that every year, the courts accumulate a backlog of 3,360 cases every year. 3,360 cases keep adding up every year because the courts are not able to absorb or try some of these cases. And the judges are overwhelmed. Because the judges are overwhelmed with cases, what they do is that every case, maybe they will allocate 30 or 45 minutes per case because the cases are a lot. If the chunk is reduced, they can award 2 hours for every hearing, and that will expedite the process. So the strategy is that these tribunals, they are going to try only criminal cases. And the law says that it's in respect of cases against the state and cases against public interest. So it's a specialized court, you understand? Specialized court with a specific mandate.
But specialized courts, the criticism is that specialized courts should be the preserve of the CJ. We've seen specialized courts that's come to life. If it's about day-to-day hearings, this Wontumi trial, for instance, which has become the subject of conversation today, was prosecuted in 9 months. And this is the same justice delivery system. So why not resource the structures as it exists so that effective work can be done? Appoint more judges and add them to the high court judges which exist, because a person who is appointed as a chair of a tribunal qualifies to be a high court judge anyways. So appoint them, help expand the system a bit more, provide them with resources, and your problems will be solved.
Okay, so I did indicate that there is something that the tribunals offer that the regular courts cannot offer because the tribunals doesn't sit with only a single judge. You understand? So we are trying to encourage citizenship participation to build confidence in the judiciary system. This is what the regular courts or the traditional court cannot offer. So this is a special dispensation that these tribunals are bringing on board. You understand? And as we rightly know, the Constitution is very clear. Like I said, first of all, there is a constitutional mandate for us to do this. Secondly, the strategy is to make sure that we cut off this huge backlog on the court system. How do we do this? Once we are able to establish these tribunals, that will be taking care of criminal cases. What is going to happen is that a lot of the workload on the regular courts will be lifted, because once the tribunals are taking care of criminal cases, those criminal cases which otherwise could have gone to the regular courts will now be taken over by the tribunal.
So you are taking criminal cases where a lot of the oral possible cases will be going. You set up the tribunal to handle oral cases, because if criminal cases are going there, the opposition is right to say you're seeking to return that to prosecute them.
No, but that is the constitutional mandate. The tribunals cannot try civil cases. They must only try criminal cases per the law. You understand? So I think that there is a certain stigmatization that has been associated with tribunals, but I think we need to situate this conversation in a context. We are all aware of the tribunal system during the PNDC time. This was a military regime. It was not a constitutional regime. There has been arguments that there were excesses and all that, human rights abuse, whatever, blah, blah, blah. People who also challenge this, that we needed that at a critical time because of the levels of corruption. I once said that, Jesus Christ, when he entered the temple and the people were gambling in the temple, what did he do? He had to pull a whip and start whipping the people in the church, but it was necessary at the time because of what was going on. So in the same way, people may argue that because of the situation at the time, these tribunals were necessary at the time. But that is a different dispensation that is gone. Now, these tribunals are being established within the context, within the framework of a constitutional regime. And if you look at our constitution is very clear. Article 14 talks about fair trial, Article 19 and all that. These are all the framework within which the tribunals are going to work. So there is no fear of anybody being victimized or any kangaroo courts that will begin to, work. Indeed, if you look at the bill, if you go through the bill, you appreciate.
I'm looking at portions of it. Actually.
Exactly, you appreciate that adequate provisions have been made to make sure that human rights abuses and all that are safeguarded. One of the innovative things that came with this bill is the establishment of the oversight committee, the Tribunal Oversight Committee. So the Tribunal Oversight Committee will ensure that the tribunals work in accordance with the Constitution, they work within the confines and the framework of the Constitution. You understand? And this will be a safeguard that will supervise the activities of the tribunal and ensure when it comes to the paneling of the panel, is the Chief Justice that will be responsible for all that.
Fair. On establishment of an oversight committee, for instance, that has also come up for a bit of scrutiny. They are asking questions, why an oversight committee?
Yeah, because, you see, concerns have been raised. We are aware of those concerns. We want to be sure that the tribunals work within the confines of the Constitution and work within the confines of the law. We need a committee that will ensure, will supervise directly. And this committee, if you look at the constitution of this committee, there is a rep from the Chief Justice, Attorney General, Shraj, so you can see the level of people that constitute this
National
committee.
House of Chiefs.
Exactly. The level of people that constitute this committee. And their direct mandate to ensure that they monitor, supervise the activities of these tribunals and ensure that they work within the confines of the law. I think it's very, very necessary.
The other legislations which you've passed, right? The anti-LGBTQ plus bill, for instance, you passed that. That's been something that's been brought in a lot of controversy as well. You passed that. On that same bill as well, the minority washed their hands off it, and it looks like the claim is that, look, you are passing a lot of bills. I don't want to use the word sidestepping or under a certain certificate of urgency or under some urgency when it needs to be done, and you're not building consensus as a majority in Parliament.
I think that suggestion is unfounded. It's very much unfounded. So the LGBTQ, we went through the same processes. Indeed, at the committee stage, we did a lot of engagement. Shraj was there, civil society organizations, churches, traditional authorities. I remember very, very well. I was in that meeting when at Aliza Hotel. A lot of key stakeholders were there. A lot of suggestions were brought in there, here and there. And, initially when they brought the bill, and let me go back a step. Before the bill that was introduced in the 9th Parliament, the LGBTQ bill that was introduced, is drastically quite different from the one that
the argument is that it's the same. The argument rather is that this has been beaten down. This bill which was passed was beaten down considerably to make it easy for the president to assent to, and even with that, he's not assented to it yet.
Okay, so let me explain it to you. And the reason why the president has not assented, let me clarify that before. The reason the president has not assented is because the bill has not been transmitted to him.
Why the delay in transmission?
Of course, once the bill is passed, it had to be fine-tuned, make sure that they do all the necessary, put the necessary structures in place and all that before it is forwarded to the president. So, as we speak to now, there is no bill before the president.
Means Parliament is delaying because this was passed late May.
Yeah, so I definitely will be with the administration of Parliament in terms of taking the necessary steps to transmit it, which has not yet been done. Yeah. Even last week, I was trying to follow up on it to find out the situation, and they told me that they are still working on it. And so LGBTQ, you know that this bill was introduced in the last parliament. It was passed, and then there was want of presidential assent, as a result of which that bill lapsed and therefore had to be reintroduced when we assumed office. Now, what I'm saying is that the bill that was passed, when it was reintroduced, was very different by the sponsors. There were some changes, you understand? So this even tells us that with time, new ideas comes on board, which can also inform some changes. And that is the reason why laws, even when passed today, tomorrow they can be amended. Because sometimes after the passage of the law, new development comes up, which makes us to believe that no, these amendments are necessary. So the bill that came before us was not the same as the one that was passed by the sponsors. So this is a bill that was presented by the same sponsors, but there were a bit of some changes. Now, when the bill came to us, even though it has gone through the 8th Parliament, we had to start our work on a fresh note.
Afresh.
Yes, as if nothing has happened. And like I said, went through first reading, came to our committee, we engaged all the key stakeholders, and then we prepared our report, which was adopted. We moved to consideration stage. They boycotted. And the reason why they walked out was that they are saying that certain things have been removed from the bill, as a result of which it does not make it very potent. But my brother, if you are a lawyer and look at the bill, I don't think you will make that argument. Because you see, the changes that we made were changes that were mandated by our constitution, and changes that were also necessary in view of other laws that we had passed. You understand? One, we had to exempt people like you, those of you in the media, because you see, if you look at the law criminalizes anything that seems to promote, support these activities. You understand? Anything that seems to promote or support these activities. So if you are even a media person and you are doing a reportage and you are not careful, you could be brought under the act, and then you could be prosecuted for your normal, regular work that you are doing as a media person. So it was necessary for us to exempt certain categories of professionals. For instance, a lawyer who is going to court or to defend an LGBTQ. Obviously, the lawyer is supporting such a person. So the law must make exemptions for lawyers, make exemption if an LGBTQ person has suffered, let's say, a gunshot, or is ill or is sick and he goes to the hospital. If the doctor is treating such a person, it could be evaluated or counted as if he's supporting such a person, you understand? And that means that he's also supporting LGBTQ. That is the position. So we needed to make exemptions, because under our laws, even if you are an armed robber and you get a gunshot and you go to a hospital, the first priority of the doctor is to save your life. The doctor cannot say that you are an armed robber, so he will leave you to die. It's the same thing. If you are an LGBTQ person and you go to hospital, you must receive treatment.
Right.
And that treatment must not be calculated as the doctor supporting or helping you, you understand, or promoting you. And therefore, those exemptions were the things that we made. And these exemptions are constitutional. The right to a lawyer is in our constitution, you understand? The media is in our constitution. So these are constitutional provisions that we only entrenched in the bill. There was nothing new that we removed. If you come to the evidence decree or the evidence act, provisions in it also gives privileges to a lawyer, privileged information, privileged communication.
Right.
So for instance, if you're a lawyer, somebody can come and confide in you.
Absolutely.
That I'm an LGBTQ. Are you supposed to go and report the person? Because the law also mandates anytime you get that information, you must report.
Attorney-clients privileges and all of that becomes subject matter.
Exactly. So these are the exemptions that we made. And that is backed by the Constitution and other laws that we have passed already. So for them to say that we have taken the bite out of it and all that, it's not the same, my brother. It is not.
But they say generally, you are not building consensus on the floor of the House, and it doesn't look good in the eyes of the public when consistently you are raiding your way through because you have a super majority and you're using it
That is
amongst
not
many other
correct at
things.
all. Behind the scenes, we build a lot of consensus. Sometimes, my brother, what you see on the TVs and the cameras is not the reality. I'm telling you the truth.
Do you
we
get
build a lot
do
of
you get,
consensus behind the scene?
consensus when you are presenting the reports? Is there a general acceptance when you're presenting the reports?
Yes, because you see, when it comes to the committee reports, we always take one position. We build consensus. If there are some people who have divergent opinion, we capture it in the report as well. But we always go with the one front. That this is the decision. But when it becomes critical, we have to vote. And the majority will always carry the day. But we build a lot of consensus, my brother. Behind the scenes, we build consensus that the cameras might not be privy to. So if the minority says that we are not building consensus, I would not agree with them at all.
A number of bills are up for consideration. I'm sure may have been referred to the committee already. The Okada bill, for instance, has that come before you? That's another subject area of quite some controversy. Navigating.
That bill has already been passed.
It's been passed as well already,
passed, yeah.
and some work has been done.
I think that they are trying to put in place the necessary structures so that it can take up. Sometimes when the bill is passed, it cannot immediately take effect because some structures need to be put in place before. But that one, Okada bill has been passed. And one that is also pending that will come very soon will be the interstate succession bill.
Absolutely.
You know, we have been with this interstate
PNDC law 111.
Exactly. PNDC law 111 is over 4 decades, over 40 years old. And therefore, we have realized that it comes with a lot of challenges, especially when it comes to its implementation. We have implementation challenges because the Act creates some fragmentation or creates some divisions when it comes to the properties. And therefore, it makes implementation very, very difficult. And as a result of that, seeing the challenges that confront us in law, PNDC Law 111 of 1985, you can imagine, this is about over 40 years ago. Yeah, it has become necessary, looking at new developments and all that, to pass a new law to cure the defects that is associated with the PNDC Law 111. You know, at the time that it came, it was very instrumental because it came to cure a situation where when a deceased person dies, things. You know, family goes to take over the property. Sometimes they eject the widow and the children and take over property. And that was when PNDC Law 111 came to cure that problem. But having implemented it for the past 40 years, it has come up with a lot of challenges, and therefore we need a new bill. This new bill, some of the things it's going to cure is that we want to make sure that the fragmentations or division of properties is reduced. We want to make sure that the law is also not sensitive to gender, because, you know, the law did not take cognizance of the fact that in Ghana we have a traditional marriage system which is polygamous. Right. The law didn't take all that into consideration. So
that is being taken into consideration in this new
current bill. Yes.
So what, it will allow for more than one wife to benefit from the succession.
Okay. So the current law is that if a man dies and he has 7 wives, he has 6 wives, he has 5 wives, all those 5 wives or 6 wives or 7 wives will be entitled to that same percentage that a one wife will be entitled to. You understand? So if, for instance, somebody dies and leaves 5 wives, all those 5 wives will be entitled to a certain percentage. If even it's only 1 wife, it's the same percentage. If it's 2, the same percentage. If it's 10 wives, the same percentage. So it's very gender insensitive. So we are looking at a situation where
promoting polygamy.
So we are looking at a situation where if they have 5 wives, more percentages will be allotted and make it more sensitive to gender. Because then the disadvantage is that because women cannot marry more than one husband, when it comes to the husband, they will definitely get their percentage as single, as one person. But on the other side, when it comes to women, they have to share. So the law is trying to look at all this and take the polygamous nature of our society into consideration.
Absolutely. James Inu is my guest in studio. We're going to be wrapping up pretty shortly. I'm going to pick your thoughts on this Wound to Me saga, what you've made of it, because your colleagues in Parliament have been describing it with all sorts. You in government, what is your position in relation to it as well? And perhaps I'll take you one step back on the NPP flag bearer also asking the president to stay his hand and not assent to the national to the tribunals. So answer that for me first, and then I'll pick your thoughts on Wound to Me. Then there's an interesting local story in your constituency which you've been championing, which I will ask you about as we wrap up on this morning's show.
Okay, so thank you. I think that when it comes to the traditional bill, the tribunal bill, it has gone through all the necessary stages. We have done all the necessary consultations. We have engaged stakeholders. We have engaged all interested parties. A lot of work was done at the committee level. When we came before the House, a lot of arguments were made to justify the provisions clause by clause. So much consultations have been done already. And I think that once it is transmitted to the president, he should just go ahead and assent it. I don't think that we need to wait to do any further consultation. All necessary consultations have been done when it comes to the Tribunals Bill 2025.
The NPP says tomorrow is pregnant. You've persecuted one of their own. I use persecuted advisedly, and so tomorrow is pregnant. They will come after all of you in the NDC as well. How do you react to comments like this and their reaction as well to the conviction of the Ashanti Regional Chairman, Bernardine Chibuisiako?
Okay, I am not expecting anything different. This is one of their own. So definitely you will expect that this is how they are going to go. Indeed, I have not followed the nitty-gritties of the process, and I'm not also privy to the judgment. Yesterday also, was it yesterday? Is Monday? Yeah, yesterday when I was about moving from we went for a retreat. We were about moving from and I got the information that judgment has been passed and he has been convicted. But I'm yet to get hold of the judgment, look at it.
59 pages.
Of course, it was trite knowledge. Everybody in Ghana knows that Untimi was engaged in mining activities. But as to whether it was legal or illegal, that is what we didn't know. But everybody knew that is his line of business. And for me, due process has been followed. He was charged, put before court. His lawyers were there. They went through the processes. He had appeal processes in terms of some interlocutory applications that he brought along the line. And at the end of the day, we went through full trial. Judgment has been passed. He has been convicted. I think that the most important thing is that due process has been followed. There was no point in time that his rights were undermined. There were no points in time that human rights abuses transpired anywhere as far as the trial is concerned. He has been taken through a fair trial and judgment has been passed. And for me, I think that is why there is a hierarchy of courts and the opportunities for them to appeal. If they feel that they have a good case on appeal and that the evidence does not match the decision of the court, they can always go up and see what will happen there. So I think that there is no basis for all these complaints. If you believe that you have a good case, that is why the appeal processes are there. Go to the Court of Appeal. From there, you can still go to the Supreme Court if you are not satisfied. So they must advise themselves and exhaust the appeal processes that are available to them. But this is a decision, a judgment that is coming from a competent court of jurisdiction that has fully heard the case and given a judgment.
Right. In wrapping up, we're 11 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm going to take you back to the constituency and the party, to be specific. The Tema West NDC constituency women's organizer, Paulina Lamisi, had been missing since June 12, 2024. I mean, in my small research, I saw that you were leading the campaign to have her return amongst any other things. Has there been an update? How is the party faring in the aftermath of that there?
Thank you so much. This is a very, very sensitive matter to me.
Yeah, very sensitive.
And I'm hardly hit by it anytime. I remember it, Lamisi, our woman organizer, very hard-working woman, right from the onset in this campaign leading to the 2024
to the victory.
Very instrumental, organizing the Women's Front campaign here and there, house to house. She was with us from day one. Unfortunately, just before the elections, she's gone missing.
And up to now, there's no update.
Now, it's getting to, I think, 2 years now.
It's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years already, yeah. So the last time we did a public engagement on it to put it out there, reminding the police. The matter is with the police who are conducting investigations. Well, I believe that it has been a bit slow and nothing is coming up from it. The news is that she just left home one morning. She lives with her husband. They are together. They stay in the same house. She left one morning, and since then we have not seen her anywhere. And we have tried, checked everywhere, but it doesn't seem like there is a headway. And the matter has been reported to the police. Police is conducting investigations, but we believe that the police are a bit slow on this matter. We think that they must put more vim into the investigations and come out with something, because she cannot be missing just like that.
2 years.
She cannot be missing just like that, And I even feel that, she has a daughter, a very young daughter who is at the secondary school, senior high level, and it's very, very pathetic situation. The family are always crying and hoping that one day she'll resurface somewhere. But as we speak now, there's no information whatsoever, and the police too have been silent on this matter for all this while. So I want to take the opportunity to speak to the Inspector General of Police, the IGP, to intervene in this matter and ensure that they expedite the investigative processes and tell us something, because for a long time we are not hearing anything, so that this matter can be brought to rest.
Right, Honorable, in wrapping up, what would you say the constituents of Tema West should hold you by 7th December 2028 when elections is up?
Okay, so
you're standing again.
My number one has to do with employment, because I know that the youth in my constituency needs a lot of employment opportunities, but I want to assure them that I'm committed to it. We have started doing a fantastic job in that area. A lot of people have received jobs. A lot more is outstanding. We want to assure them that by 2027, when we go back to them, or 2028, we would have a lot of statistics to show them in terms of the opportunities that we have given them when it comes to jobs. Apart from that, the roads is also one of my priorities, and I keep pushing, going to the urban roads, going to the Minister of Roads. I'm always pursuing them. If you go there, they will mention it to you that your MP is always here. And I'm going to push and push. By the grace of God, like I indicated, a number of roads have been done. A number of other roads too, we have contractors that have moved on site. There are some roads too that contractors will be moving on site soon after the rains. We'll still keep pushing to ensure that we are able to get more development in the Tema West constituency. One major problem also has to do with the sewer lines, especially in the main Tema area, Committee 2, Committee 5, and all that. We have serious problems with the sewer lines, and this is a problem that has been there for decades, that nothing has been done about it. For the time being, what we've been trying to do is to do the dislodging and the rodding and trying to evacuate the main lines and all that. But these are temporary measures that will not bring a permanent solution. It's important for us to look for, this is a capital-intensive project, because it looks like Tema main, all the sewer lines have challenges. These are lines that were built by Nkrumah at the time, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah at the time, and population has increased. These lines have become old. They have not been changed, and therefore it is important for us to take drastic measures to make sure that we do a heavy rehabilitation and renovation of the sewer lines by changing the network in terms of the pipelines, so that the problem will be solved. But this is capital intensive, and we are pushing very hard. I got some experts who came to assess the situation, and we are still having a conversation to see how we can bring permanent solution to the sewage problem that we have in the Tema main area.
Honourable, I must say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you this morning, and I look forward again to another opportunity where we can sit. Like I mentioned, your committee is one of my favourites because you are almost always considering every bill which comes, and so it's one of the committees that I like to follow keenly and speak to the individuals present as and when there's a chance. So I'll look forward to another conversation again. But I thank you very much for joining us in studio this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. It looks like my first time in about how many years? I've been here before, but it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
So it's quite refreshing coming back, and I hope that this will continue.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you again and again and again.
Well.
That's the Honourable James Zenu, who is a Member of Parliament for